Oh, so verklempt here. So I'm going to start with the very first word in that song, which is the word perhaps. When it is one of my favorite of John Denver's songs, and I grew up as a John Denver fanatic. I really did. I learned how to sing through John Denver. I played guitar, and that's how I learned how to sing. That explains everything, doesn't it? But when I looked at the lyrics, I was thrown by the word perhaps in a metaphysical way. Because perhaps is not a particularly strong way of living one's life. And yet, I think the song shows us that love is a very confusing thing for a lot of people. Perhaps it's this, perhaps it's that, perhaps it's, is it the love I feel for you? Is it love in and of itself? What is this thing called love? And the word perhaps means possibly, but not certainly. And actually, the word perhaps, the synonym for it is maybe. So putting that before love actually made sense to me as I looked at it, because I started to understand that love is one of those indefinable things that I think because, and right on the heels of what Reverend Jonathan said, because it's indefinable and because sometimes it's confusing, we don't accept it, and therefore it does not play out into our lives. Because it stays in that consciousness of, I'm not exactly sure what this all is about. And so the idea of it being perhaps and maybe I am made of love, but there are those times when I don't feel I'm made of love. Anybody? Those moments when you just don't feel loving? And I loved Jonathan's thing about waking up on the wrong side of the bed. I refuse to get out of my bed in the morning unless I am in the right state of consciousness. And there are times now where my husband will be in the kitchen and he'll wave to me from the kitchen and I will not be getting out of that bed. Even if he's going like, I'm like, I just lay there because something's up in my head and I am not getting out of bed until I'm done convincing myself that I know who I am. Because if I get out of bed on that side that says, I don't know, maybe, perhaps, oh my God, let me just go live my life. And how many of you have lived like that? I have. Oh my God, I've lived like that. Where you just bolt out of bed, God, this is going to be a horrible day. Oh my God, I have to do this, that, and the other thing. And it is not a good thing. It really isn't. Certainly not when you're the spiritual director of a center. To come running in here, come running in here. Connie, what's happening? Always her favorite time of the day. So it is very important to understand that your mind is right, Marcy? Your mind is creating your experience. But this whole idea of love, our month this month is Love Lives Me Up. Love lives me up. Love lives me, is me. Ernest Holmes teaches that love is the self-givingness of spirit to itself, from itself, to itself. The self-givingness of spirit. Love is this infinite energy, unstoppable energy that cannot be contained. It is uncontainable. And it, in living me, is constantly giving through me. My job, as Jonathan also said, is to get out of the way. For me, that has been my greatest lesson and my greatest challenge, to get out of the way. And not that I keep wanting to keep talking about my show, but it is a big part of who I am right at this particular moment in my life. And last night, as I stood back there waiting to come on, with that sick feeling inside of there's 2 hours ahead of you, hope you remember it, I realized to myself that I wasn't having fun and that there was a blockage somewhere. And so I just took a deep breath and I went, okay, love, live me up. Just have fun. Oh, Mel, whatever happens, happens. It turned out to be the best of my performances. I didn't miss a thing. And it just flowed. And there were moments when I knew I needed emotion. As an actor, sense memory means you tap into something to allow that emotion, feeling, to come through you. Most actors can't do it because their nerves are too high or they're too tense, so it stops the emotion from happening. And so learning about sense memory from Uta Hagen and at the Actors Studio, the first thing they teach you to do is be in control of your body, to just relax and then let it come. And last night, there was a moment where I just stopped and let it come, and I almost couldn't speak because it came through like a river. And moments like that, as any of you actors in the house know, moments like that, you just feel amazing because you are letting love live you. Love live you up to an unlimited potential of what you are capable of doing. So this whole understanding of love, it's not enough to just understand it up here. And I love that Jonathan's talk and mine are so linked this morning. Because if you just live it up here, you're not feeling it. And Ernest Holmes, while Thomas Troward says the most active ingredient in treatment is faith, now those of you that took the test know whether you got it right or not, it's faith. Ernest Holmes says the active ingredient in treatment is feeling. Now they're the same thing, really. It's all semantics. Feeling comes from the faith that you have. That's why you feel. You feel because you have faith. Faith unlocks everything. Faith unlocks your ability to do whatever you want to do when you want to do it, and the feeling comes with it. So, this whole idea of living a life of maybe or perhaps, we have to learn how to mean what we say and know what we mean. The other way around. Know what we mean and mean what we say. Actually, either way works. So, the title of my talk today is Love You, Mean It. Love you, mean it. And I am going to give you the Urban Dictionary definition of love you, mean it. I was shocked. I will never say this again as long as I live. It says, within, love you, mean it, within contains circles, within certain circles of middle school girls and older homosexual males. I mean, really? Because I am both of those things. Within certain circles of middle school girls and older homosexual males, this is a throw-off, insincere closing to a superficial conversation. The funny thing is, Barbara and I say this to each other all the time, don't we? Yeah. Love you, mean it. Yeah, we're never saying it again. So, it then says, anyone with an ounce of sense realizes that it means nothing. As anyone who says love ya and means it only needs to say, I love you. So, I know, isn't that fascinating? I pulled this up and I was like, wow. We walk around saying things that we just don't know what they mean. Suddenly, Barbara is a homosexual older man. Or a middle school girl. Probably closer, middle school girl. Who knows? You're kind of really a good mixture of both. So, you freaking out up there, Matthew? He's talking about my mother. So, the real point I want to get at is the intentionality. I mean, literally the intentionality. Do you mean what you say? Do you mean what you say? So if our month is all about love lifts me up, what's the intentionality behind that? What is your intention? What do you mean? What do you really mean with what you are saying? What do you really mean with what you are doing? We are moving into a time, my dear, dear, dear friends, we are moving into a time in our lives where it just will not be acceptable anymore. It will no longer work to not say what we mean and to not live what we say. And that means to be daring enough, which is my word this year, daring enough to be transparent enough to be willing to have people not particularly like what you're saying or in agreement with you, but to still say what you mean and then do what you say. It's time. Because here's the truth. This global truth center, this word truth in the middle, it is not a different truth for this religion and a different truth for this religion. Global Truth Center is a place, it is a center, it is a community center for all walks of life to get it from the center of their being, that the Baha'i faith, the Jewish faith, the Baptists, the Catholics, every Scientologists, all of them, have inherently at the center of their core the one thing we all have in common, and that is love. And once we get that, once we are willing to speak that honestly, truthfully, and live that from the soul of our being, and feel from it, and move from it, and do everything from that love to let it live us up to that unlimited potential, once we get that, then the idea of a global truth center will make itself known so big on this planet, and you won't have to stop being Baha'i to be a part of it. You will not have to stop being involved in anything that you find that nurtures you and that you love living. You don't have to go anywhere, any one place, to get what you need, because everything you ever could possibly need is right here, in a truth in you that is global. It is universal, and it is infinite in scope. And that is this new, beautiful, beautiful direction that I believe our centers are embarking upon. Taking this message out into the world and taking it to a younger crop of teenagers and young adults who still need some help getting to that next paradigm of loving themselves unconditionally. How many of you sitting here today can say to yourself, I love myself unconditionally, and hold nothing back and hold nothing against yourself for anything you have ever done? Karen Frost and Aaron Haskell, good. Well, they took the test, that's good. That's what we need to be. That's what we need to do. Recently, this past week, I have had some moments, some moments where I've just not felt good, not physically, emotionally, mentally. It's just there's been a lot of stress and a lot of stuff going on in my life with this show, and Kevin's in a different show. We just, this morning, sitting in breakfast, we were just sitting there going, can you even imagine what this last few months have been like? He not only directed my show, but he's starring in a show in Long Beach at the exact same time. We opened on the exact same night in opposite sides of the city here. And yet, we're doing what we love. And we're giving the other person the space to do what they love. And we still get our laundry done. It's unbelievable. If Kevin were here, he would tell you that's because he does it. Which is true. So, today's message, this whole idea of love lifts me up, do you mean it? Are you willing today to stand in your body, love yourself unconditionally, and make a decision to really start from this moment forward saying what you mean, whether it is desirable or not, whether you think it's going to be met well or not? Because here's the truth. If you say what you mean from love, any reaction that comes your way is not your issue. If you truthfully say it from love, however anyone responds to that, that is their issue. You need to come from love and tell your truth from within. But in order to do that, you're going to have to find out what that is. You're going to have to get whatever barriers, walls, blockages you have in the way of you letting, as Uta Hagen used to say, let's let it out. Let it feel. Remember, Bob? You must feel what you're feeling. But first you have to know what you're feeling. I remember sitting in some of those classes and I felt like that character in Chorus Line, and I felt nothing. But it was true because I so wanted to feel it that was what was taking over. But now I get it. Just stand there. Stop. Great Bob Newhart. Just stop it. Just stop. Just allow it to come through you. As Reverend Jonathan said, it's there. It can't not be there. It's who you are. It's what love is, the self-givingness of spirit from itself to itself. It is all you are. And if you're willing to just take a breath, get rid of all the mishigosh of life, and tap in, and then, and this is the most important part, say it. Let it out. Don't be afraid to be who you are. Don't be afraid to say, I am God. Don't be afraid to say it in a way that is heard and not challenged. Just be God. You don't even have to go around saying it. Just be it. Be the love. And someone is going to point to you and say, I'll have what she's having. Yeah. That's just be it. Allow it to be who you are. And someone will ask you, what is up? And you'll say, well, up meaning unlimited potential means that I am God. and then just wait to see if they come running back. It's time. It is really time for us to stand in our truth, a global truth that is at the center of every being on this planet, no matter what religion they practice or what political party they are from. There is love right there in the center of all of it. And if we live that, if we are willing to live that up, then we can stop walking around saying, love you, mean it, and actually say, I love you unconditionally. Because that's what I want coming this way. And it won't until I push it out that way. Namaste.